Welcome to Upticks. I'm Jake Falcon, the founder of Falcon Wealth Advisors and your host of Upticks. Today's episode 148, 5 Retirement Secrets. Cory, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk about some secrets.
That's right. That's right. So, in today's topic, we wanted to kind of clue in our audience into 5 secrets that maybe they don't know about. And so, but it's really not advertised out there broadly. So, and of course, everyone that's tuning in, we hope all of you are staying safe and healthy during this horrible pandemic. It's pretty crazy though, Cory, before we get into today's topic, I don't know if you've been out and about much, but it's really weird to me when I go to the grocery store. It's like half people don't have a mask, half people do.
Yeah.
There's events happening, but COVID is still a thing, and there's certainly people still getting sick. So I don't know. Do you have any experience with that or any thoughts on how things are opening back up? I guess I guess I originally thought a switch would flip and things would just be open and we'd be back to normal, but that's not really what's happening.
Yeah, I think that it's an interesting point because there's a lot of people that are trying to navigate an experience that they haven't been through before. I've talked to a lot of folks though that, several of whom have said, it's been kind of difficult to just get adjusted to kind of getting back out there and starting to live life. I, on the other hand, interestingly enough, for me personally, it does feel like a switch flipped and life is
really,
I felt perfectly comfortable kind of getting life back to normal, but understanding of course that COVID-19 is still a real thing. And for that particular reason, you still want to take precautions where appropriate. But for me, thankfully, it hasn't been as much of a struggle, I think, as it's been for other people.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. Because I feel comfortable mostly, but I also feel comfortable still wearing a mask. So
right.
I throw on a mask when I think it's appropriate. And when it's not, I don't. But
yeah,
it's still
my wife
weird.
And I went to Memorial Day went to Chicago Memorial Day weekend and wore, wore masks on the plane. And obviously that's mandated, but I don't know the next time I'll get on a plane and I won't wear a mask, frankly.
Right.
Probably wear one for from here on out.
Yeah. Why not? So, all right, good. Anyways, I digress. So
Sure.
For today's topic though, we wanted to talk about 5 retirement secrets. So I'll just kick us off with number 1, and we'll kind of go back and forth and discuss them here briefly. But for me, a big secret out there is that many people don't know this, is that if you leave an employer and you're 55 years of age or older, whatever money you have in that 401k may be accessible penalty-free. Oftentimes when we meet with new clients, they'll say, well, I'm going to retire at 59 and a half. And you and I and our team will work really hard to educate them saying, well, wait a minute. If you're 57 and you've got, $2, $3, $4, $5 million saved up and that's enough, you may not have to wait until you're 59 and a half to be able to access your retirement nest egg. So I think that's a pretty big one. And it's an IRS code, right? So it's not even company specific. Now, certain plans will have restrictions on how you can pull out or what, but in the end, it's in the IRS code that you can do this, but you have to be very careful because if you roll over your money to an IRA, that is 59 and a half. So we want to keep it in the 401k. So you certainly want to work with a chartered retirement planning counselor on this strategy, because there's some nuances that if you mess up can really mess up and you will have to pay penalties, right?
Yep, absolutely. And I think just piggybacking on that point, Jake, if to kind of reaffirm that message, if someone's getting closer to retirement age and they either change jobs or they're thinking about retirement, I think a big takeaway from that is don't just, take the advice to roll all of your money to a retirement account somewhere else, because that may not be the best thing for you.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And we love IRAs and Roth IRAs because that's what we deal with a lot of at Falcon Wealth Advisors. But as fiduciaries, it doesn't always make sense for our clients to roll money into them, especially if accessibility is an issue for them. So,
yes.
All right, good. So that's number 1. I think that's a big one. So again, if you leave your employer, it's the year you turn 55 or older,
exactly.
You may be able to access that account without a penalty. Again, there's some other rules. If you're in that boat, give us a call, send me an email. I'll share my contact information in the show. and we can crunch the numbers and help give you some guidance on that. Okay, good. Cory, what's the second retirement secret that most people don't know about?
Secret number 2 is what's called 72T distributions. And this is aligned with, Jake, what you talked about just now with the rule of 55. What 72T distributions allow someone to do is to take distributions from an IRA or retirement account without penalty, regardless of their age. Now, this again is relevant for folks that, are in the position to be able to retire early. And for whatever reason, just like the rule of 55, it's not, widely advertised, or a lot of folks don't necessarily know about this, what this looks like. But what a 72T, distribution, or the separate equal periodic payments, is the technical, IRS jargon. But what that means for clients that are, thinking about retiring earlier, maybe in their early 50s, is that if, depending upon the balances that they have in IRAs or Roth IRAs or whatever it might be, but if we just talk about IRAs for a moment, the 72T distributions, depending upon how much money is in your account, your date of birth, your life expectancy, and prevailing interest rates at the time, all of those go into a calculator that the government uses to determine, if you do retire, here's how much money you can actually start drawing from an IRA at 50 years old, for instance, without any penalty. And it's important, of course, if you're considering this or have read about it or are curious, it's important to understand there's a lot of nuances that are involved. And
Right.
I think that's why it's so critical to work with someone who's experienced this before and has helped guide clients through this. Because if you start taking distributions at age 50, for instance, let's say the amount you can pull from your IRA is $50,000 a year. I'm just going to make up that number. You have to take $50,000 per year, each year from age 50 until 59 and a half. But the primary reason I want to bring this up today is it's another option to allow people accessibility to their retirement funds prior to the full retirement age. And it's something that a lot of people haven't heard of or don't read or listen to much about.
Right, exactly. And so, again, I think a lot more people know about that 59 and a half to access an IRA or Roth IRA. But there are two other strategies, right? The 55 and then the 72T, which we've done a ton of 72Ts for clients over the year. But you're right, there are a lot of rules associated with it. And if you mess it up, you stand the chance of paying a huge penalty by not doing it right. So again, it pays to work with a chartered retirement planning counselor on both of these strategies, just to make sure you dot all the I's and you cross all the T's and you don't make a mistake.
You got it.
Good. So real quick side note, I always laugh because you use that word folks a lot. Is that a Midwestern thing?
It must be. I don't know. I don't know when worked
laugh
into my vernacular, but it did at some point. I don't think I used to say that a lot.
You think Bugs Bunny's from the Midwest?
I don't know.
Because he says that's all folks. That's the only. Anyways.
I don't know.
Folks is such a funny word to me. I never say folks ever.
Well, you just said it a few times.
Right. Okay. Anyways. All right. So number 3. So let's go to number 3. So my number 3 secret, retirement secret, or our secret, is that you can collect Social Security at age 62. I think a lot of people, like certainly on your Social Security statement, which they don't mail anymore to most people, you have to get online to see it. But they'll say retirement age or full retirement age, right? Maybe 66 or 67 years old, depending on when you were born. But many of our clients, if they retire at age 60, they turn on Social Security at age 62. Now, you don't get Medicare until 65, but you can potentially turn on your Social Security earlier than what you may be led to believe. Now, there is a caveat to this. You may get a reduced benefit, or you do get a reduced benefit by turning it on early. But again, you looking at that in conjunction with a well thought out financial plan, it may make sense for you to take it earlier than 67. Or you can wait till you're 70 and it maxes out then. So the point is, you've got this 8-year window, if you're retired, of when to turn on Social Security. And our team at Falcon Wealth Advisors, we can crunch the numbers and look at your financial plan and run different scenarios on when to turn it on to see what makes most sense for you. But I think a lot of people think that they can't turn it on until they're 65 when they get Medicare, or 67 or whatever. And a little known secret is at age 62, in fact, you can potentially turn on Social Security.
Yeah. And one quick thing I want to add to that, to your point about, people not necessarily being aware of when they can start collecting. There's also the piece that, I know I've had a number of conversations where people think it's either, okay, I can start Social Security at 62 or at 67 or at 70. And that, people think there's only those 3 options because that's what shows up on their Social Security statement. The reality is if you're retired and you're turning 62, at any point between 62 and 70, you can start collecting. And each and every month that you don't collect benefits, the amount that you'll ultimately receive is a little bit greater. But I think it's important for people to know that it doesn't have to be just, one of those specific years. You can do it anytime once you've turned 62.
Right. And there's a lot of strategies. And, for many of our clients, again, they turn it on earlier. I think a quick, and this is general, don't take this as advice, but a general rule is that the more you need Social Security in retirement to sustain your income, the longer actually you should wait, because it makes up more of your income, versus the less you need Social Security, the earlier generally you can take. So for most of our clients, Social Security does not make up a large part of their retirement income, so they can afford actually to take it a little sooner. Versus if, let's say you don't have much in retirement savings, well, then you need Social Security to be high because it is impacting your retirement income more so. But again, that's a very general statement. What we like to do at Falcon Wealth Advisors is meet with our clients, go over all the different scenarios, and then give them some really good advice based on their specific financial plan.
Yeah, that's good. And I like the way that you just explained that, because I've explained that, I don't know how many times, but I haven't been able to put it as succinctly as you just did. So good work there. Where you said the less you need it, the earlier you may potentially take it. And the more you need it, the more you might consider waiting.
Right. Yeah.
Rule. That's a good way to look at it.
Which is actually backwards a little bit, I think, than some people think, but that's what the numbers crunch out to be.
Yep.
All right, good. Before we go into number 4, Cory, why don't you give a quick commercial to your show on this same YouTube platform and your podcast, and also Scott's?
Perfect. I'm happy to do it as a as a shameless plug here. So I also, Jake, have a YouTube show and a podcast that I run that's called In the Money Insight. If you subscribe to YouTube and the Falcon Wealth Advisors Collective, you'll receive notifications when there's new episodes of Upticks, this show available, or when my show becomes available. And then Scott, another advisor on our team, actually has 2 different shows that he is hosting that are on YouTube as well. One is called Mental Dividends, and it's, similar to In the Money Insight and Upticks in that it's primarily geared toward, people that are thinking about retirement, investing, secrets, tips, whatever it might be. But then there's also a show that Scott's hosting called Sports and Money that he's hosting with Josh Briscoe, who is a local sports radio personality, where they're talking about, again, the intersection of sports and money. So again, I think that, they're both doing a great job. I, of course, Jake, always enjoy your show too and learning from it, but would encourage any of you at home that are watching or listening to hit that subscribe button. If you like it, if you like what you hear, give it 5 stars, because that also helps other people find it.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay. So back to our secrets. What's number 4, Cory?
Secret number 4 is Roth conversions to minimize required minimum distributions. I know that's a lot of words just there, but let me explain at a real high level what this means. And one of the items that we look at for clients, and one of the things that we think about often, is what's going to be the impact of required minimum distributions. And for those of you watching or listening, as you may or may not know, at age 72 is when you're required to start taking distributions from your IRA pre-tax account, regardless of whether or not you need the money. And this is a unique challenge for a lot of people, because I think, generally speaking, the baby boomer generation that, came to of age and, came into their higher earnings years, they were around when they first had the ability to start making contributions to 401k plans, pre-tax contributions. So there's a lot of clients that the majority of their money is in pre-tax retirement accounts. And the challenge is, once you get to 72, depending upon how big those numbers are, if it's $3, $4, $5 million, the amounts you might be required to draw from that account very well may be significant, and put you in a higher tax bracket than you want to be at, especially at that point in time. So one of the things that we evaluate for clients is, one, Roth conversions, which what's involved there is converting pre-tax dollars into a Roth account. It's a taxable event when that's done, so you owe income tax on the amount that you convert, but from there on out, that money is invested and it's growing tax-free. So I think the best way to think about this for people is, as a broad rule, between age 59 and a half and age 72, there's, planning that can be done, that can be thought through each and every year to evaluate what makes the most sense for your situation to ultimately, hopefully, help minimize the impact of those required distributions later in life.
Yeah. And I would argue it's even earlier than 59 and a half. I would think as soon as you retire, once you drop into a lower bracket from typically when you retire, you do that. That's what we call a little sweet spot, where we love to look at converting some money to these Roth IRAs. And it's a little bit of a pet peeve of mine. CPAs are always so quick to tell their clients to defer, put as much as you can in your 401k. And, by doing that, the key word is you're deferring taxes. You're not lowering your taxes. So you're deferring your taxes out to another day, but you're not actually lowering. You're going to have to pay tax on that money.
It's kicking the can, right?
Yes. And like you said, I've been practicing for 15 years. How long have you been in the industry now?
11 or 12 years now.
Yeah, 11 or 12 years. And now we're seeing our clients that have been retired that are coming up on these required minimum distributions. They've got real problems because, again, either their former advisor or their CPA told them to put all their money pre-tax in a 401k. And now they've got $4 million that they're having to take out. This is just a hypothetical, like 200 grand a year or something crazy, and pay taxes on it. So again, I think that Roth IRA conversions are a big deal. I think just saving in a brokerage account is a good thing too. Pay taxes as you go, and then you don't have to worry about this huge snowball of impact that you're going to have in your 70s. The last time or
and
the
beyond.
Yeah, the 70s, when you don't want to be worrying about taxes. You want to be enjoying hopefully your life and retirement.
Yeah, and I also think that when we think about Medicare too, right? When people get to age 65 and they're Medicare eligible, the amount of taxable income that you have impacts the cost for your Medicare plan also. So again, to your point, Jake, if you're in your 70s, you have to pull 200 grand a year out of an IRA. Your income is going to be high enough that you're going to have to pay more money for your Medicare.
Yeah, good point. Potentially, absolutely.
All right, what's the last secret you got, Jake?
All right, number 5, and for many retirees, this may not be a secret. For pre-retirees, though, it probably is that the number 1, I guess 5, right? We should have counted it down. Number 5, I guess. But my opinion, the most important secret is that your life will not magically change upon retirement. Okay, I think a lot of people think that the day they hit that button or leave their job, that it's going to be Disneyland and every day is going to be wonderful. And, they're going to have this whole transformation. It's not. I mean, you are still the same person. Typically you live in the same house, like you still have the same, personal responsibility. So I think a lot of people flip the switch and they get disappointed is what I'm getting at. And that I don't want you going into retirement and think that by retiring alone, that is going to make your life better or happier. It's the other things that you do that will hopefully make it happier or better, right? So don't think by just flipping the switch that it's magically going to be better. Just like you and I, Cory, we plan at great lengths financially for our clients. We also encourage our clients to plan what they're going to do socially, or physically, or what they're going to eat even, or where they're going to travel to, right? Or where they're going to spend their time, right? That is just as important as the financial piece, right? So Don't think that you do all this work with us financially and everything's good to go, but you definitely have to think about the other piece, because your life isn't just going to change because you're retired. You have to influence it and decide what is your next passion going to be, or how are you going to fill up 30, 40, 50 hours a week of time now that will have impact and meaning and purpose. And I think that's a very important secret that a lot of advisors don't talk about and a lot of people don't think about.
Yeah, that's really good. And I think adding to that point, I've had some clients that, maybe halfway jokingly and halfway serious also have said, when one or both of, if it's a married couple, if one or both people retire, it's been, 30 or 40 years since they were both at home together every day. And I know that, the pandemic over the last years maybe changed that experience for some people. But the point being that, planning for that, thinking through those things in advance is a good, healthy thing to do, for the sake of your own mental health and happiness and well-being, and also for that, for the happiness and well-being of the people around you.
Good. Yeah. And so those are it. Those are the 5 secrets, right? So just know you can pull money out of retirement plans maybe earlier than you thought. There's a lot of different strategies around Social Security. Taxes don't go away when you retire, so you want to look at doing Roth conversions. And then again, think about your purpose. When you leave that corporate job, right, or sell your business, what are you going to go do? What are you going to go do for the next 20, 30, 40 years? It's very important to think about that. Now, I don't expect, just like the financial plan, we don't map out every single day for our clients. We know it's going to change, but you want to at least think about it. And you want to at least have some sort of idea of what's important to you and what are you going to find purpose in, and then go enjoy that and pursue that and have a blast, hopefully doing that.
All very good secrets.
Good. Well, quick plug to our social media. So again, I'm out there on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Cory's out there on the same floor as well. If you do have questions and you're not a client, my email address is jake@falconwealthadvisors.com. Cory's is simply Cory@falconwealthadvisors.com. It's Cory. A lot of times people get that
Common mistake.
Corey, Kori. It's none of that.
Oh, I don't think anyone's ever actually confused it that way.
Cory.
Maybe though. I'd have to think a lot about that.
Cory@falconwealthadvisors.com. And our company's out there on the same platforms, right? So if you want to follow or like our pages, falconwealthadvisors.com, you can get more of our content. And again, we're out there on those social media platforms. Quick personal thing, you got anything going on? It's crazy, Cory. We're already in June. And so golf season, like, just went turbocharged on me. Like, I'm a huge golfer, and all these tournaments are sold out now, which is crazy. They never really had you wouldn't think a golf tournament would sell out, but so all these golf tournaments I'd like to plan are all sold out. So it's hard to get in tournaments. It's already June. It's crazy. We're full into summer. I mean, I just got an invite to a summer solstice party, and I'm like, really? I still feel like I'm in spring, but anyways, it's crazy how fast time really does fly. But that's all. I'm playing a lot of golf. I'm trying to. It's definitely hot now, so the golf ball's going a little further, so I'm okay with the heat because the golf ball goes further. But what do you got going on? Anything personal or any observations?
Not a whole lot. I play a lot of tennis, so it's the spring days are a little bit better than the summer days. And again, this 90+ degree heat kind of seemed to sneak up on us here. But yes, to your point, I play in a summer tennis league that is 10 weeks long, and we just finished up week 6. Right, to your point. It's crazy that we're already where we're at in the calendar year.
Right. Good book. I'm reading a good book called Loon Shots. I just started it, but I do highly recommend it. It's about how innovative things come to fruition. You got any books or show recommendations? Loon Shots is good.
Yeah, I'm actually reading a few different books right now. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. I've kind of been bouncing between books, and I'll go 50 or 100 pages at a time. But yeah, I'm kind of bouncing between a few different books right now. But the one that I'm really enjoying that I'm reading is called Essentialism. And it is the author that wrote it. It's all about, I think the subtitle or the caption, I don't know the exact term, is, the disciplined pursuit of doing less. And I don't mean that, in the sense that I don't want to just go and, do anything with my life, but it's more about, spending time and energy on the things that work and the things that matter, and spending less time and energy on the things that don't.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Prioritizing. That's awesome.
Yep.
So, good. Well, again, thank you all for tuning in. Stay safe, stay healthy. And we look forward to talking to everybody soon. We have done a soft opening on our office. So we are meeting with vaccinated clients. So if you are vaccinated and you want to come do an in-person review, let us know. Let our team know when we get that scheduled. Just let them know, and we'll certainly put that on the calendar accordingly. Thanks again for tuning in, and we hope all of you out there have a great week. That's all.